Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Geek to me radio, da 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 da. Welcome, St. Louis. Welcome, boys and girls, geeks and nerds. We have an all Doctor Who themed show today. We're going to be talking with our special guests. We'll take some of your calls as well. And later on in the show, we'll be talking with Chris McQuillen about Geekinomicon OKC. Allons-y! We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. And in this first segment, we are joined by Mike and Rob. There is a St. Louis-based Doctor Who organization, and they've been kind enough to come into the studio and tell us more about that. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So go ahead and just give me a little history, how it got started, and go from there.
Okay, we're the St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency. The name is based on a reference to a Tom Baker story back from the 70s. It's supposedly a group that was part of Gallifrey, where he comes from, and he was part of the. It's sort of like a spy organization on Gallifrey. So he was part of that. We were formed in 1983, shortly after Channel 9 locally started airing the episodes, mm-hmm. and a group of people decided to come together and start a club because we were getting so many people back then. There was like hundreds of people. I mean, the first meeting, I went to the first actual group formed meeting, and there must have been 200 to 300 people there.
Wow!
And we would get up to like 500 people at one time during the first 2 or 3 years of the club. I mean,
where were you guys meeting back then?
The first year or so, we were meeting in the old planetarium. Okay. They had the basement down there where they would do the science shows and everything. Mm-hmm. It was a large area, and then they'd have seats out and everything like that, and then we'd fill the whole place up. I mean, but and then after that, we moved on to we had some meetings down at went down to one of the theaters down at St. Louis U, the Bush Center, I think it was. Okay. And we've gone to Upsall and had some up there. I remember even having one at elementary school in Webster Groves one time.
Fontbonne.
Yeah, Fontbonne, yes.
Yeah. There were a couple meetings that
we'd go anywhere we could get a lot of people, in there at the time. But, as the years went on, the numbers started dwindling, so we didn't have to have such a large place. But,
So it sounds like you said that was started during the Tom Baker years. So yeah. It almost sounds like your popularity of your group kind of went with the popularity of the show.
Exactly.
Kind of started declining into Peter Davison. And
the late 80s towards the 90s, that's when it started falling off. But that's when the show had been aired several times mm-hmm. locally, and people had seen, and they had it kind of run their course with them. They were going on to other things.
Yeah, probably it got a little dark near the end of the McCoy run, the Seventh Doctor run.
Right.
Probably is when it got really lean. Colin, maybe at the start of Colin. I mean, we were really doing well through Davison. And we still had large members while the show was on the air. Mm-hmm. When the show went off the air, then it got a little tricky, because it wasn't on every week.
Right.
So then we expanded to other British media like Blake 7 and Red Dwarf, The Prisoner, and things like that. And we do that now with our club. We talk about other stuff besides Doctor Who that's British media. But yeah. So
I assume now that as they call it, New Who has kicked back up, I assume your numbers have kind of swelled as well?
It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
If you would have told us, I mean, when we do panels at the Wizard World here, mm-hmm. Or even at conventions. One of the things that I think that we always say is that, in 1996, if someone would have told us, 20 years later, that there would be Doctor Who on TV and that you could buy, you could go into a local retail store and buy a shirt, or you could wear your shirt without having, things thrown at you.
Or you go to a website and buy episodes for like $2 or something
Right.
like that, and watch it, or even free with Amazon Prime
Yeah.
now. So it's like you never could have thought that was possible back then, because you thought you'd still be in the days of VHSs where you had to buy a whole
Yeah.
bunch of tapes.
Right. Yeah, the internet's changed everything.
Yeah,
Obviously,
exactly.
that's true for the fandom itself. So you guys being such Whovians, do you each, I know it's hard to ask you to pick, do you have a favorite Doctor?
It's changed over the years for me, but usually the one I go back to is usually the third Doctor, John Pertwee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also like Troughton. I kind of like when I saw Baker at first, and I kind of liked him, but I got kind of burned out on him after a while. But I usually like Pertwee's episodes a lot because they're long episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stories there, and they've gone through so many different companions. And I always
Yeah,
liked the
he
thing
did.
with they were based on Earth, and they had Unit helping them out. So, or
Yeah.
him helping Unit out.
Right.
Yeah. Well, to a certain extent, you love all of them.
Sure.
I've loved the show for so long that there's things about each one I like. I really, really like Patrick Troughton. And before Channel 9 was the first station in the country to air the Hartnell and the Troughton existing packages, right? So we were really excited. So we got to see these, and I'm like, I always kind of liked them from, what knew I about. But then when I saw them, I was like, this totally works. I love this. I like them each differently. I really like Patrick Troughton, and I'm very much in the weird sort of people here, and I'm hoping I don't crash your show. I really like Christopher Eccleston. I
did too. That's great.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen a second season of Christopher Eccleston, but at the same time, Peter Capaldi, who is the Doctor now, is just amazing. They are all
Yeah.
amazingly great actors who have done it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Colin Baker and Sylvester kind of got a raw deal because their scripts weren't exactly great, but every Doctor has something great that you like about them if you love the show, and it's okay not to like a Doctor. It's okay to do that. But I have to say that I think it's Troughton, Eccleston, and Capaldi for me. And I love David Tennant and Matt Smith, but I'm to the point now where I see those all
Sure.
the time that it's
They're the cool Doctors, I guess.
yeah,
And I know,
which is okay. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah, I started with the new series. So Chris Eccleston
Yeah.
was my first Doctor I ever saw, and I was intrigued. So I went back and I'm like, well, I want to see some of the older shows.
Yeah.
And having gone back and watching some of those, Netflix had them for a while,
Yeah.
and then Amazon Prime had a huge library of them. But now they just have the new ones. But I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Peter Capaldi a lot of times kind of really is the first of the new Who Doctors to really harken back to kind of like the John Pertwee, Tom Baker feel of the way he plays the character.
He's only like the second or third actor that played the Doctor that watched the show back when he was younger, so he understands the aspects of the different Doctors, and he brings it into it.
He actually wrote for a Doctor Who fanzine. And he
Did he?
wrote, he wrote for a Doctor Who fanzine. He wrote the producer at the time named Barry Letts. He wrote him a fan letter, and he's a huge Doctor Who fan, which is great. David Tennant was as well. So that in and of itself is also pretty cool that you have a Doctor who's like a fan that sort of understands the legacy and the heritage of it as well. So
And David Tennant a fan so much that he has a Doctor as his father-in-law.
yeah,
Fifth Doctor Peter Davison is
Yes.
10th Doctors, which I thought that webisode they did where the two of them met up, the 5th and the 10th Doctor.
Time Crash.
That was
yeah,
great.
that was fantastic to
Yeah.
see. That was really neat. And David Tennant told a great story about the first episode he remembers seeing was a Tom Baker episode, and he did his Tom Baker impression for us at the Wizard World panel. It was very funny.
The great thing about Time Crash was in that much little space of time, they crammed so many in-jokes in that whole episode. It was funny. It was really great to watch.
Some of those webisodes, and again, if you're listening to the show and you haven't seen these, you can go on YouTube and probably just type in Doctor Who Time Crash. It's on there, but a lot of times it's included with the DVD packages if you buy those on Blu-ray DVD for the seasons.
Yeah, usually they are. Yeah.
But there's a lot of, I know Paul McGann and Night of the Doctor, that episode that he did as part of the Doctor Who 50th anniversary, that kind of really made people aware of, the Eighth Doctor. I didn't realize, and that kind of bridged the gap nicely
that
between
was
the old and the
I think
new.
that's the best minisode they've ever done.
I agree.
Actually, it was.
Yes.
Now, I'm confused about it might be something we have to get into here in the next segment.
Whole episode.
The way they treat the War Doctor, he's not a numbered doctor. and I haven't had it explained to me properly. So
Okay.
we're gonna come back after this break, and
we'll
we're
try
gonna
to think
have
of
Mike
something
and
clever.
Rob from the CIA, the St. Louis CIA.
There you go.
They will tell us about John Hurt. I lost his name for a minute. As the war doctor, as he's called.
Yes.
We'll have that, and we're going to take your calls. If you would like to call in, let us know your favorite Doctor Who episode, your favorite companion, or your favorite doctor. Show lines are 855-770-1260. And then in the final segment, we'll be speaking with Chris McQuillen from Geekinomicon in Oklahoma City, where they're reuniting the cast of the 1996 Doctor Who movie. Stand by for more here on Geek to Me Radio. We are back on Geek to Me Radio. This segment brought to you by HistoricSt.Charles.com. If you're a Doctor Who fan, like Mike, Rob, and I are, may want some jelly babies or some jammy Dodgers. Well, on historic South Main Street, there's a shop called the English Shop, and they carry these things. They've actually got some Doctor Who DVDs, some Doctor Who memorabilia, but they've got the jelly babies and the jammy Dodgers, which I'm a huge fan of both. Mm-hmm. And if you are interested more, because Historic St. Charles has all sorts of stuff. The English Shop is just one of many, many, many specialty shops up and down the street. It's just a really cool atmosphere. There's always something to do, things going on. You can check out their website, HistoricSt.Charles.com. You get a street map. You can see the events they have going on throughout the month. Plan your trip now. Lots to see and do. Don't miss out, HistoricSt.Charles.com. Now, before the break, we were talking about the war doctor, John Hurt. And it was for the 50th anniversary. It was my understanding that they couldn't get Chris Eccleston to come back. So they kind of, Stephen Moffat had this idea to have a different version of the Doctor, which we saw in Night of the Doctor. Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, regenerates into John Hurt, but he's not officially counted as a Doctor. We still have only 12 Doctors. If we counted him, Capaldi would be the 13th. Can you guys explain it to me for him in simple terms?
You're the president. Oh, okay. Okay. So let's see. He's the president of the club. I'm just a member. So let's try to do.
You used to be president of the club.
Yeah, that's irrelevant. So okay, the easiest way I would explain it is he's 8.5. It's kind of like
okay.
It's kind of like you have the 8th Doctor. There's the Time War. Oh no. Oh my gosh, it's the Time War. What will I do? Oh, I'm going to drink this thing and it'll turn me into Superman. That's the easiest way I can think of it. I think that, they had this chunk of script stuff they needed someone to do, and they couldn't get Eccleston,
mm-hmm.
and that was their way out. And of course, they got John Hurt, which is like,
yeah.
And now there's John Hurt audios, and
Yeah.
So I think that and that was kind of I'm hit or miss on it because half of me's like, oh, really, come on, just use the 8th Doctor the whole time. But the other half of me's like, it's John Hurt. So
can't really go wrong.
I'm totally
there.
fine with that. I mean, I've learned to live with it. But again, we need to tell people, if you're ever trying to keep track of continuity in Doctor Who, just don't.
Yes.
Circular
Wiggly, wobbly,
logic.
timey-wimey.
Because there's 4 or 5 different interpretations of continuity.
Yeah, circular logic will only make you dizzy.
Yeah. No, way I saw it was that he regenerated, the Time War happened, and he went through the Time War. And by the time he got to what happened in the anniversary special, he was so tired of it. And then when the Time War was over, he decided, I'm going to regenerate. I'm tired of being this doctor. So then he regenerated into the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. So.
Yeah.
So it's like 8th Doctor 2.0.
Yeah.
Kind of is the way. Yeah.
Sort of like a hiccup in the regeneration process.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's kind of like it's kind of like he took the Captain America super serum and became the Doctor. Kind of.
That's a good way to. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Being a Marvel Comics guy, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying to. I mean, it's unusual, but it kind of worked. So,
yeah. I didn't mind it. Like I said, that was kind of my introduction to the Doctor, was the new Who series.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went along with it. But I always kind of wondered, why isn't he the 9th Doctor? And then
it's kind of hard because there's a sketchy bridge between classic Who and new Who, so it's
right.
really hard to follow. You know.
Yeah.
And speaking of the bridge too, I'm excited. They just announced the special anniversary edition of the TV movie
TV
with
movie, yeah.
which was Paul McGann's introduction to the
Yes.
world as the Eighth Doctor, is getting the Blu-ray treatment coming out. I think September 7th.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, there are very few Doctor Who things you could do on Blu-ray.
Right.
You know, there's a Pertwee episode and then some of the new ones, and this one, the McGann movie, and they are putting Eye of the Doctor on that, which is going to
Oh,
be
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Yeah, I would like to see 5 Doctors on Blu-ray. I think that's a pretty lofty point in the history, I
Yeah.
would think.
A lot of it just depends on how it's going to look if they transfer it. Because some of it, if you
Yeah.
transfer it over to Blu-ray, it's going to look, depending on how it was filmed. If it's filmed on video, a lot of Doctor Who in the 80s was a unique thing because the way it looked like it was filmed on tape. It looked colorful and bright like the decade.
I think they could put 5 Doctors in there because they did do a lot of exterior filming on that.
They may.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know
Some
this.
of it, some would look good. Some probably wouldn't look good. So
You know, the magic of Hollywood, I'm sure they could,
Yeah.
touch it up
they
here and
might
there.
be able to do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, either of you, we talked about favorite Doctor. Do you both have a favorite episode? Like one that stands out, like this is what Doctor Who
I would
represents.
say, okay, if you want to find what classic Doctor Who represents, and, Pyramids of Mars with Tom Baker
Oh, yes.
is exceptional.
Yes, it is.
The Damons with John Pertwee is also really great. It's a 5-parter. He's great in it. You have Unit. You also have Roger Delgado, who was the first actor to play the Master, who is just incredible. That's really good.
Talons of Weng Chiang.
Talons of
Yeah.
Weng Chiang, which
Yeah.
is also like really solid. And then Peter Davison, Caves of Androzani, his regeneration story is
That was
arguably
really
the
good, yes.
greatest episodes
Yeah.
of Doctor Who. And then I like Attack of the Cybermen with Colin Baker.
Yeah.
And I think Sylvester with Remembrance of the Daleks is really great.
A lot of people like Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Greatest
too.
Show in the Galaxy was kind of
Yeah.
a tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
I do want to say that if you are looking sort of to pick out, like, how do I find the greatest episodes of Doctor Who or whatever, there's a book out by a guy named Alan Seiler, who runs a convention in Atlanta called Wholanta. And it's called Doctor Who's Greatest Hits. And he basically takes, hey, these are my favorite Doctor Who episodes and why, both classic and new series. And that's a nice little introduction as well. There's also a book, I think, called Who's 50 that does sort of the same thing. So
Okay.
there are books that you can find that'll go through and pick out episodes. Hey, these are the ones we think are great. And then you can choose whether you like them or not. I mean, that's one of the great things about Doctor Who is that there are episodes that are absolutely terrible. There is an episode with Tom Baker called The Horns of Nimon.
Yeah.
That is absolutely horrible, but yet everyone loves it because it's so incredibly over the top.
I think for me, the Tom Baker ones, I haven't seen by nearly any stretch of the imagination
Yeah.
all of them, but for me, Tom Baker episodes are kind of like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's good.
Yeah.
Kind of get that feel
Yeah.
from his episodes.
I also do like City of Death quite a lot.
Yes.
The one filmed in Paris.
Yes.
I do like that
Because
one.
it's got Julian Glover. I mean, who's
Who's great in it,
yeah,
yes.
who's in
Cameo by
Star
John-
Wars,
and
who's
John
in
Cleese.
Indiana
John
Jones.
Cleese in a
That's right.
cameo,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, going back to the first Dr. William Hartnell, there's a fun episode called The Time Meddler that I kind of like because that's when you see another Time Lord. It's called The Time Meddler. That's kind of fun. And, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. But I think if you started with Pyramids of Mars, Talons of Weng Chiang, Caves of Androzani, and you watch the specials like 2 Doctors and or 3 Doctors and 5 Doctors, I think that's a really good broad overview.
And you were talking about books. You wanted to get a plug-in for the
I
website.
bought
Yes.
I just mentioned my, Alan's book, but I do. If you're interested in Doctor Who, I write a Doctor Who blog for a site called Anglotopia, that is run by a very nice guy named Jonathan Thomas. And it's if you love England, it's how to live in England. It's British food. It's British country life. There's stuff on there about British traditions and stuff. But I write a Doctor Who thing for that. As we get closer to the season, it'll probably be every week, and it covers both the new series and the old series. And then I also do some podcasts and things for needcoffee.com, which writes about Doctor Who, a lot of what you do, films, comics, movies,
Right,
video
sure.
games. But so there's a lot of fandom out there where you can choose your favorite episodes and what you like to see.
Fantastic. And we'll have more with these two gentlemen. They're going to hang out with us for a little bit longer. Mike and Rob taking your calls also. 855-770-1260. Give us a call. Let us know your favorite episode, companion, or doctor. We'll be right back after this. Geronimo. Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio, the Doctor Who edition. I'm joined in studio by Mike and Rob from the St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency.
Yes.
St. Louis CIA, the St. Louis-based Doctor Who theme club that they have, and they've got a meetup coming. You said
It'll be September 24th, I believe it is. Yes, Saturday. It's the third Saturday next month, and we just had a meeting last week, but we got one next month on the 27th. So I think it is what it is. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. And
it's at the Booter branch of the St. Louis Public Library. It's on Hampton, just a little south of Chippewa, Southwest St. Louis down there. We meet from 1 till 5:30.
And what's the website? People want to go and find out more about you guys too.
Yeah, it's www.stlcia.org. And we also have a Facebook page. You just go to Facebook and look up Doctor Who's or St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency or STLCIA.
Okay.
And you should be able to find it there.
Perfect. That'll pull it up. And if you want to learn more about the group, head there. Sounds like a good time. If you're a Doctor Who fan and you're in St. Louis, it's perfect. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, and we've asked you to call in with your favorite doctor, your favorite episode, or your favorite companion. And we start off. We have David on line 1. David, are you there? Hello, David. David, are you there?
Yes.
David, perfect. Thanks for calling in. And Doctor Who, favorite episode, favorite companion, favorite doctor? Do you have one or all three?
Well, are we talking new series or old series? Because
Either
I'm a fan
one.
from when I was a kid.
Yeah, either one. If you want to go back to the classics, Mike and Rob were talking about that earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I've always liked Tom Baker's Doctor, Fourth Doctor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah Jane. And I don't know the episode. I'm not that big of a geek, I guess. But
It's okay, really.
Describe it. We might be able to tell you what it is.
Yeah, it's something like it's something involving a time war and Daleks, and he is given responsibility to sort of.
Oh, Genesis of the Daleks?
Yeah, Genesis of the
That's a
Daleks,
Tom Baker one, yeah.
Is that Genesis? I thought
Yes.
that was Genesis of the Daleks. He's given the mission to keep the Daleks from happening. And there's a tiny little speech that he gives. He's like, is this my responsibility? How many people will have joined who would have otherwise killed each other?
Do I have the
themselves?
right to destroy them? Because if he puts the wires together, he destroys the Daleks. And
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
always thought growing up, seeing that one, that was very noble, I
Yes.
guess, or something like that. But
Well, you're in
yeah.
good company. David Tennant actually just talked about that episode of Wizard World we mentioned earlier. He was doing his Tom Baker impression saying, do I have the right?
Yeah, no, and I would have to say that David Tennant, 10th Doctor, that guy's my favorite. I really liked Martha. I know that's not a popular opinion,
I thought Martha was great.
but I thought Martha was great. Sarah Jane Smith, in both incarnations, both with 4 and 10, I thought was cool. I never saw her show. And favorite episode would probably be Blink from
Oh,
the
yes.
Winter series.
Fantastic
Just
episode.
'cause, just the way it's edited and the science it deals with and whether you can actually call it science. I like the quantum physics stuff. But, and I was trying to, I was a fan when the new series first started and really looking forward to that. And I thought, what is the 2-parter where we meet Jack?
Empty
Lord
Child
of
and the Doctor
Child
Dances.
Doctor Dances, yes.
Yeah. That whole thing, that was just a magnificent thing. The Doctor finally saves everybody and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's there's ongoing favorites, and, of course, there's not favorites and stuff like that. But interesting story. I identify a lot with David Tennant's Doctor just because I happen to have been in London when he was playing Touchstone in As You Like It at, I think, the Globe, or maybe, I forget which, but he sat down. I was probably 6 or so feet away from him when he sat down on a stage and did that speech. And when he showed up on Doctor Who, he sat in the TARDIS console room somehow, and he like swung his legs back and forth. I'm like, that looks really familiar for some reason. And I did a little IMDb search and stuff, and sure enough, no, I saw this guy kind of before he was famous. So that was a fun little anecdote.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, David, thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate the call.
Oh, no problem at all.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
And we will go now to, we have Dragon on line 2. Dragon, do you have a favorite Doctor?
Yes, I got to go with 10th Doctor for my favorite. Although my fourth Doctor is a close second.
10th and 4th?
Sure.
And favorite companion by chance?
That's going to have to be Leela. She runs around with the fourth Doctor. She's like the cave girl that he kind of adopts.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
I think I've only seen one episode of hers, the one where they were in the lighthouse.
Horror Fang Rock.
Yeah.
Horror Fang Rock. That's, I think, the only Leela episode I saw.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the dichotomy of having her being so primitive and running around with like the Doctor. And there's a couple episodes with her and K9 even that are pretty great.
Yeah, see, if someone's going to ask me my favorite companion, I'd have to say K9.
Yeah, K9 is like a close second. He's pretty awesome, and he saves the Doctor like more than anybody. I think he's great.
I'd have to agree. Yeah, I think he definitely gets props for that. Well, I appreciate your calling in. Thank you so much for the time.
Hey, no problem. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. Take care. And now we will go to Laura. Laura's on line 3. Laura, thank you for calling in. Do you have a favorite Doctor, a favorite companion?
Favorite Doctor, 10th Doctor, always and forever, the best. Favorite companion, that would have to be a toss-up between Rose Tyler and Donna Noble. Love them both.
Yeah, I think Donna, of 10th Doctors, I think Donna's my favorite companion, I'd have to say.
Oh, yeah, she was a hoot. Favorite episode, I could not choose. When Donna Noble is in the library, that's one of them.
Oh, yes,
when they're in
Silence in the Library.
When they're in the roadway with all the people who have been like in the underground roadway for 10,000 years or something, and one of them has kittens in the back seat. That's an excellent one.
It's a Martha Jones one, I think. That was Martha's second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the few Martha ones that I really liked. The one where the one with the Sycorax. There's
Christmas
so
episode,
many.
Yeah.
Christmas, well, the first Christmas special, I think.
Yeah,
they did,
I think David Tennant's, he just had regenerated in that one.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more of a fan of the new Who?
Yes. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 episodes of the old Who, so I'm a new Who fan, definitely.
That's cool. That's fine. There's a lot of people, that's what kicked the ball rolling for him, is the new Who. Got him into it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And lastly, we have Gary on line 4. Gary, do you have a favorite Doctor, a favorite episode, or a favorite companion?
I do. Favorite episode, I'm going to cheat a little bit in the sense that it's a favorite concept within an episode. The tally marks from the silence.
Oh,
the
yeah.
implications of looking down and seeing yourself covered in tally marks and you're just screwed.
Yeah. That was a horrifying episode, actually.
Yeah, it really struck an anxiety with me. It struck a chord, and it worked real well.
So would you also say 11th Doctor is your favorite Doctor, or just that happens to be your favorite episode?
I like the current Doctor a lot. I'm an old grizzled guy myself, and perhaps that's why.
You're scoring points with Rob right now. Rob said that was his.
Mike,
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, he's my favorite too.
So do you like Capaldi then, since he's kind of like an older?
I do. I'm wondering what's if it's going to be able to resonate with me better, just the old grizzled thing. But I like the clowns a bit too. So I'll end up missing the clownishness side of certain portrayals, but the brooding. I was hoping for a little bit more task devoted. Mm-hmm. Side, which they've not really brought out yet with his current task at hand in the larger scheme of things. And, but seeing that they turned back to that the Doctor's storyline and Gallifrey and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like the way the stories have been going lately. Well, Gary, thank you very much for calling. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, and we're going to head to break very quickly. We're running a little bit late for it. Before we go to break, I do want to mention, if you're looking for someplace to eat this evening, Hendel's Restaurant in beautiful historic Florissant. They have a fantastic menu. You can go to their website, hendelsrestaurant.com. They have events and specials. Like every Wednesday is Wine Down Wednesday, half off bottles of wine. They've got fantastic appetizers. You can sit in the piano bar and have them and hang out there. Or you can sit out in the patio. The weather's getting nicer. We're getting into fall. Go out and hang out on their porch. Fantastic place. Great atmosphere. It's nestled right there. It's like the Jewel in Florissant. You just go down to where the old French section is and check them out online, make reservations, look at their menu and more. hendelsrestaurant.com. We are overdue for a break. We'll be heading to that right now. And we'll come back talking to Chris McQuillen from Geekinomicon about the Doctor Who convention there in Oklahoma City coming up. Stay tuned. We are back with more Geek to Me Radio special Doctor Who edition. And I'm joined in studio by Mike and Rob from the St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency, the Doctor Who-based organization here in St. Louis. If you're wanting to talk to them about meetups and things like that, we'll give you their info in the last section here. This particular segment brought to you by Fantasy Shop. Fantasy Shop online for their website. They have 4 locations around the area: St. Charles, Florissant, Maplewood, and South County. If you like comic books, they got comic books. You like games, they got plenty of games. Anything you can imagine, check them out online for their locations and addresses. It's just an experience. If you don't want to just buy a comic book, you want to go someplace where people know about comic books and know about the games you're playing. They have game nights where you can play the different games and experience what it's like. If you're a first-time gamer, they'll teach you how to play. Like I said, it's a comic and gaming experience more than anything else. Check them out, fantasyshoponline.com. Very proud to have them as the official comic book store of Geek to Me Radio. Right now, we are going to go to the line. We have on hold Chris McQuillen from the upcoming Geekinomicon in Oklahoma City. And talking about Doctor Who on the show, this is really a big deal. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. What's going on?
Not much. Thanks for calling in. And Geekinomicon Oklahoma City, for Doctor Who people, why is this such a big deal?
You already know it's the 20th anniversary of the Doctor Who movie, which featured McCann, Eric Roberts, Daphne Ashbrook, Sylvester McCoy, A.C. Tao, Jeremy Reddick. I mean, those all are names that was in the movie. Well, guess what? You come to the Oklahoma OKC show, Geekinomicon, and you're going to see all those people. You are going to see Eric Roberts. You are going to meet Ashbrook. Sylvester McCoy is going to be there. I mean, it's a reunion tour of the Doctor Who. We even have parts of the from the movie is going to be there. There's also TARDIS is going to be there. You'll be able to be part. It's not just attending a convention. You'll be part of the convention. You're going to live the convention. We always talk about join the revolution. Our Comic-Con, Geek Expos, is taking Comic-Cons to the next level. It's not just attending. You're going to live part of it. You're going to be part of it.
And for people who maybe not big Doctor Who fans, you guys have a lot of other stars from a lot of other fandoms who are going to be at this event.
Oh, of course. I mean, this isn't just a Doctor Who convention. That wouldn't be fair to all the others. You have Star Wars. You have, we're going to have everything. We have so much. We have people from anime. We have Power Rangers coming in. We have 5 Power Rangers coming in. We have guys from Spaceballs, Tim Russ. Right. We have Christina Wren. We have Adrian Palaki. We have Felix Silla, which was Tweety, which is cousin that was in Star Wars. He was one of the Ewoks. Mm-hmm. We have a lot. John Noble, big name, of course, John Noble. who's been in Lord of the Rings and Fringe and Elementary. I mean, we're going to have, oh my gosh, there's so many people. Oh, Greg Grunberg, who is J.J. Abrams' right-hand man. He's going to be there. Vincent Ward from Walking Dead. He's going to be there. So Vernon Wells from Mad Max. He's going to be there. We're going to have voice actors. We're going to have Miltos from Game of Thrones. He's going to be there. Not including the nice thing about the Oklahoma show, you're not only going to get, if you get the all-access pass, now you know you can come to the convention and be every other convention, but if you get an all-access pass, we have a part of the all-access pass, you get admission into the zip line, the laser tag, the downtown boating, the downtown whitewater rafting, the botanical gardens, the Crystal Bridge. You get you that's where you become part of the show. You're not just attending the show. And not including, I mean, go to geekexpos.com, geekexpos.com, and that just opens up your eyes to a lot of new things. We're first year in Oklahoma City. Anyone who knows me, the Toy Man shows in St. Louis, we've been there for 26 years under the Toy Man. We're going to be at the America Center. We were at the Geek Fest last year at the Machinist Hall, so we're going from a 13,000 square foot to a 500,000 square foot at the America Center. And of course, we have to ring in the new, and that's going to be at Halloween. So what's better to be a cosplayer at a Comic-Con on Halloween in St. Louis? St. Louis is all about cosplay. And then, of course, New Year's Eve, you get to ring in the new year with one and only Stan Lee himself.
That's exciting. That's be the Dallas one. You can get tickets for all these on geekexpos.com. And Chris, I'm going to definitely have you back on closer to the St. Louis date because I've been talking to you about broadcasting the show live from the expo that Saturday.
Of course. You're definitely welcome, listeners. Follow the podcast, follow anything you see that's any podcasts out there, anything radio that you hear Geek Expos, nothing else, follow James Enstall. He's the voice of the nerds out there.
Stop.
And hey, you're doing quite well in what you do. I enjoy talking to you. We're friends, and it's just all about the fandom.
Exactly.
Nothing more, nothing less. Just that simple. If it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't exist. And
you mentioned the toy shows at the Machinist Hall. You've been doing those ever since I've known you, and those are fantastic. Just to go see those, all the toys and the different things you can get there, and you've done a great job running those. So when you were telling me about the Geek Expos you had going on, my mouth hit the floor. It's an amazing time to be a geek and to enjoy all this fandom stuff. And these Geek Expos you guys are doing just are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's run by geeks for the geeks. The Toy Man Show, it's been around 26 years. Yeah, me and my father started in 1990 with just 125 tables, but my shows are 7 times a year, and they're one-day shows, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have 230 tables on 130 vendors. But it's just a toy show, and it's a one-day show. I took it to the next level. We're looking at a 500,000 square foot in St. Louis. We're talking about big names. We're talking about A-listers. We're not just talking about B and C-listers. Nothing wrong with B and C-listers. But we want to give what people are asking for, and we're going to bring it. And we're going to bring it loud. We're going to bring it proud. And if you want to, join the revolution. GeekExpos.com. Find us on the web. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. We're out there.
I'm excited to see you guys in Oklahoma City, and I'm very excited about the Transformers. I want to talk to Dan Gilvizan, who did the voice for Bumblebee. I'm particularly excited about talking to him. But Chris, thank you very much for coming on. I greatly appreciate the time, and we will see you in Oklahoma City.
We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thanks. Take care.
No problem. Bye.
And so that's exciting stuff coming up. If you're a geek, this is, as Hardison from Leverage said, this is the age of the geek, baby. We're going to be wrapping up here at our last segment. Coming up, we're talking Doctor Who here on Geek to Me Radio. Stand by. Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. We're wrapping things up in our Doctor Who edition. Thank you if you called in, the guests earlier, talking about your favorite episode, your favorite Doctor, your favorite companion, whatnot. My guests in studio have been Rob and Mike from the St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency. If you're a Doctor Who fan and you're in St. Louis, there's no reason why you shouldn't be meeting up with these guys. And what's the best way to get a hold of you again?
Our website is www.stlcia.org or org. And we also have a Facebook page. You can go on Facebook and look up /STLCIA or look up in the search bar Doctor Who St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency, and you should find it.
I think St. Louis Doctor Who is how I pulled you
Doctor
up
Who
too.
St.
Yeah.
Louis, it should be the first or second thing that comes up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, our next meeting is September 24th. We're going to have probably some sort of holiday event as well. If you want to become a member, you can go to the Facebook page to get information, or you can come to our meeting, and Charlie and Jennifer, who handle our memberships, they're great. They'll take care of that for you. It's fast, it's easy, it's simple, and yeah.
Perfect. And during the break, we were talking about a book that's coming out. You wanted to mention that?
Yeah, there's a book coming out called Red, White, and Who. It's a history of North American Doctor Who fandom. So if you're really interested in more of the fandom, and sort of like how the cosplay came about, or how, you know, different stations in the country first showed Doctor Who, and different history of conventions and things, that's coming out as well soon, and that's going to be kind of interesting.
So anything you're looking forward to about the upcoming Series 10? I was told by a British person, don't call it Season 10, it's called Series 10, and she's British. Yeah. So anything you're looking forward to coming out of that?
I'm just kind of interested in seeing how the new companion will work out, because they haven't really, there has not been a lot about her before. So Pearl Mackie playing something called Bill, I think is her name. Yeah. So I'm not sure, because supposedly she had been on the show before, but in a different character. But I don't know. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how this works out. But Jenna Coleman, who played Clara before, she is really impressed with the way he's worked out so far as what they've been filming. So
they're filming in Australia. Not filming in Vancouver this year. They filmed in Spain. They filmed in the former site where they filmed Blink, so I'm kind of interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi is wearing a very fetching top hat and a very John Pertwee-looking outfit this year, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see. I mean, I'll know much more when I get back from DragonCon, because then I'll know all this information. But the other thing I'm kind of excited about with the season is sort of seeing how they end this Gallifrey thing and where they go with that.
Absolutely. You can check them out. Check me out, geektomeradio.com. Check out my sponsors on the link up there at the website, Allons-y.
It's not in the way you watch a zombie. It's not in the way you watch The Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young Arts. It's not in the way you play Mario Karts. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, St. Louis. Good night.